We've asked Miami fans, Miami haters, impartial observers, and even SEC fanboys why they think America is so down on Carson Beck this year. There are valid reasons, and then there are biases.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and writer for Canes County at Rivals. And thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. On this Locked On Canes, we have the confirmed list of official visitors for this weekend for Miami recruiting. A couple of big ones on tap, guys. What's the scariest game of the season coming up? Which game are Miami fans the most worried about? But the perception on Carson Beck is something we have to start with because everyone is not only pocket watching with him. Oh, he's reportedly making $4.3 million this year, or they're worried about him allegedly breaking up with the girlfriend and getting the car stolen and all the interceptions he threw last year at Georgia. Some are still high on Beck, but a lot of folks are like rats off a ship. They are bailing on Carson Beck. We got to get down to the truth here. And that's why here on A Truth Teller Tuesday, we have Bruce Warner with us. Bruce, before I go out to responses I've gotten on social media, from some, SEC fanboys, impartial observers, then from the Miami family on Locked On Canes Insiders Chat, I'd like to know, in your humble opinion, why do you think so many people are down on Beck this year?
Hatred, probably number one. That's always going to be the case. I don't care who came here. It would be hatred. It's got to be right at the top of the list. I just hate Miami. They don't want to see Miami succeed. I don't know if there's a second or a third or a fourth reason. That's probably it. I mean, they look at what he did last year. He still had, 3,000-something yards, right? He had 20-something touchdowns or whatever he had. He had probably the most drops in college football by his wide receivers by far. The running game wasn't so good. The offensive line wasn't so good. What do you expect? I mean, what do you expect? And he's not like Cam Moore where he could do all these escape moves. So yeah, he had a less than stellar year based on his prior year, which was 2023, when he was spectacular, and he was preseason Heisman Trophy top 3 this past August, September. So, at the end of the year, he didn't look that great. Now, what if he stayed at Georgia? Would they still be saying the same thing? Probably not. Probably not. But he's here in Miami, and maybe they're looking at the receivers. We've said it a million times. They're inexperienced. He lost 5 guys, including Horton going to Alabama. That hurt the most to me. That was the worst when he left. So I think it's a lot of Miami bias and hatred. And they don't have anything else to base it on. He's had a great year. He had a good year, not as good as 2023. And what else are they going to do? They're going to say he's going to throw for 4,000 yards. They just don't. I don't know if they like him either, let alone Miami. But I'm telling you, it's Miami bias. That's just how it is in this country.
You hit the nail on the head, in my opinion, of course. We'll read others' opinions in a second. But I thought the great point you made there, Bruce, was if he had stayed at Georgia, I think the narrative would be a lot different. I think a lot of it has to do with him leaving, the good old boys club there in Georgia. I've nothing negative to say about Georgia. It's a tremendous program, and it's been a tremendous team for a number of years. Kirby Smart's doing an awesome job. But him leaving Georgia and going to Miami, as you pointed out, which is a university people love to hate on, and then also all of the other stuff, the rumors, and we don't know exactly how much Carson Beck is making at Miami. I know Miami is aggressive from an NIL point of view, but people can only speculate and report on the exact dollar figure. But a lot of folks looked at it as a money move, and some folks looked at it like, oh, he's going to go, join his girlfriend in Miami. They've since allegedly broken up anyway. But I think that has a lot to do with it, Bruce. And so when people claim,
well, why would the money have anything to do with his performance? How do you correlate the money and performance? Why, he's got so much money now, he's not going to focus? The guy wants to be an NFL quarterback. If he comes here, I don't care how much money he got, and he craps out, he's not going to the NFL. He's very motivated to play better. He knows what happened last year. Had he stayed at Georgia, they would have said, oh, well, some of the guys he had that dropped all those balls, they're gone. They got some new guys. He'll be fine. But now that he's here, there's a target on his back. A, money. B, maybe the receivers. But clearly, Miami bias. They just don't want Miami to succeed. I hope he tears it up. I know you do. I hope he goes out there and throws 5 touchdowns against Notre Dame. I would love to see that. But you know what? It's okay. Because if Miami gets hated on, they play better. It seems that. It used to be, and hopefully still will be, us against the world. I've said that a million times. Also, and you know what? I don't give a damn what anybody says. I want to watch him play, and I want to win. And I know that this team is very focused, much improved. And my concerns, if you've heard me say it, is the lack of the continuity on defense with 11 guys playing together as a unit when they have not played one down together. That scares me.
Here's what Beck did last year in Georgia. And, people claim, it's because of the year he had last year is why we're down on him. 3,485 yards, 28 touchdowns. Now, 12 interceptions. We do want him to clean that up. Obviously, he led the SEC in interceptions last year. And, you mentioned talking about the money. Yeah, he's making a lot of money at Miami, but Carson Beck understands that the real money is going to come when you get to the NFL, when you get those multi-year. And now quarterbacks tend to get all of their money guaranteed, multi-year guaranteed contracts. And so he's not looking at Miami as just a spot to collect a check. He's looking at Miami as a spot where he believes he can raise his draft stock back into the first round, playing for a quarterback-friendly offense, playing behind an offensive line that, I got news for you, is going to be better than the one he played behind last year, and playing against worse defenses than he played against last year.
And he's got those 2 backs that are incredible. And Lyle got bigger. And I know Fletcher lost weight, so he's looking for some more speed to get around the corner. The receivers, okay, they'll work their way into it, but you know what? His team is loaded. We're loaded on offense. We might be better than Georgia on offense. And their quarterback is a question mark. He came in last year near the end after Beck got hurt. He was okay, not that consistent. There's a question mark about him too. But again, going back to Beck, I don't care what the national perception is. I really don't. I ignore it.
Well, I'm going to give you, and this is not national perception, but it's what the people are saying about Carson Beck. Miami fans, some Miami haters.
You have quotes?
I got quotes. Well, I can talk about what pundits are saying, because like a lot of the Georgia guys are very sour on him. Like Aaron Murray, a former Georgia quarterback, is now suddenly questioning Beck's maturity because he had the audacity to leave Georgia. But I can tell you what the folks are saying.
He's the only one that ever left Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
You want to keep the locks right here.
Superstar. Yeah. He was okay in college. He wasn't that good.
Yeah, he was all right. Well, we'll give you the good, the bad, and the ugly when we come back. You want to keep it locked right here on a Truth Teller Tuesday. We're only getting started on this brand new Locked On Canes. Stanley Cup Finals in full swing. Our Florida Panthers dominate in Game 3, and when they dominate, Donno wins money, and all of you guys are winning money on the Florida Panthers, and the NBA Finals are in full swing as well. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action than right now. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. And, we are, I think now 12 weeks away or less from football season starting. You can lock in your Miami Hurricanes football futures, like over under 8.5 wins coming up next year. There's so much action to be had at FanDuel. And guys, if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you so much for making this Truth Teller Tuesday episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch. Bruce Warner, let me give you some of these responses. I'll give you some of the impartial ones first. Professional sports handicapper Lee Sterling, when I asked, why do you think the college football world is so down on Carson Beck, he says, tons of butthurt Georgia supporters and SEC fans who think if you leave the SEC, you can't succeed. Look at Carson's 2023 season when he had actual weapons. Yeah, when he had an offensive line that didn't give up as many pressures, when he had Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey to throw the football to, you were talking about single-digit interceptions. I think he threw 6 that year, if I'm not mistaken, and just under 4,000 yards passing, Bruce.
Yeah, well, 3,500 is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
24 touchdowns isn't that bad. That's 1.5 per game. You know, if he does the same thing here with 24 touchdown passes, but he's got running backs who are going to get 24 touchdowns, what difference does it make whether it's the backs or the receivers? They're still scoring, you know. And the 12 picks, how many picks last year did Cam throw that tipped off of our guys' hands? Several.
Yeah.
And they got picked off, not because it was a great defensive play, because the ball got popped and someone else caught it. Or one or two of those passes that Cam was running and he threw it ridiculously across the side of the field and he got picked off. He got picked off in the Gator game because he was running to the left and he threw it sideways. It tipped off of somebody for a pick. So it happens. Those are, you know, Cam made spectacular plays sometimes, and every once in a while it cost him. I don't know much about what Beck's interceptions were last year, but he's really good. He's smart. He's got a good arm. I don't expect him to do that again. And I expect our running game to just dominate. He's going to be standing there watching these guys running up and down the field. Look, I'm not worried about it. Go ahead, give me the next guy because I'm not really that concerned.
And you know,
But
I mentioned
that's a fair assessment, but still.
Yeah. Well, and I mentioned at the top that some of the concerns are valid. So I got this from Jackson Holzer of Locked On Syracuse, who's obviously a colleague of ours here and does a great job on the network. He says, injury, healthy Carson Beck is a top 3 quarterback in the ACC. I would say a healthy Carson Beck is probably a top 5 quarterback in the country if we're not top 3 in the ACC. But the injury thing, like I hadn't brought it up to this point, Bruce, but that's the most valid. Like, honestly, that is the most valid, right? He's healthy now. He did a great job, even when he wasn't cleared to throw for, you know, between January and in late April. You know, it sounds like he was really diligent with his film study and his mental reps, and he's really been kind of attacking the areas where he wasn't so sharp last year, trying to improve on those mistakes. But if you're going to give me a reason why America is down on Carson Beck, coming off the injury to me is the most valid.
That could be. I said that when they first announced he's coming here. I said I'm very much concerned about if he's going to be ready by June or July, or he's going to be ready earlier. He's ready earlier, so that gives him a lot more time to adjust to the guys he's got. And also, you know, as far as last year is concerned, look, you know, he got hurt near the end of the year, right? He wasn't hurt the entire season. Now,
the end of the year. Yeah.
Do you or me or anybody else? I mean, maybe they know in Georgia, was he hurt during the season and just never revealed it? And at the end, he had thrown so many balls that his elbow problem just exacerbated and he needed surgery. I don't know. Maybe he was playing hurt all year and didn't say a word to anybody. But that's possible too. But as far as this year, I'm not worried at all. They guys you can keep giving me those little bits and pieces of people's comments. I just don't care anymore.
Well, let me give you a couple more.
Certainly
Luke,
not medical doctors, that's for sure.
No, Luke, who's a Hurricanes fan, says they truly want to find any excuse to bash Miami. They bring up his NIL, but disregard other schools bragging about their NIL power. I mean, Duke's got a quarterback who's a lot less proven than Beck, who's making over $3 million.
Yes.
The Texas quarterback, whose last name happens to be Manning, is making $6.5 million this year in NIL. He's barely proven anything to this point. Man, Jimmy says rougher than expected season last year, exasperated by drops. He went into the season as a potential number 1 overall pick and played like a 4th rounder. He's trying to bounce back from that. From one of our Locked On Canes insiders from an 813 area code says, just my read, coming off a disappointing season at Georgia, has to prove he's recovered from a serious injury. Most pundits probably believe Georgia had better talent around him there. So if he struggled last season, it's going to be even tougher with quote unquote lesser talent at Miami. How's he going to handle following in Cam Ward's footsteps? And he says, most importantly, he got dumped by a Cavender. At the end.
I don't know who dumped who. I mean, and I was,
and I don't care.
Right, yeah. I don't care. I was texting with Hannah, so I mean, I never really got the whole story, but anyway, look. And then the other part of that would be he's not playing against the SEC defenses, which is what you said at the very beginning of this episode. He's playing against supposedly not as good defensive teams in the ACC. So you know what? It balanced itself out. Let's just let him play and let's see what happens. That's all. Right?
Yeah. And so we got a question from a Locked On Canes insider, Pat Mack, who wants to know, hey, which one of the games on Miami's schedule scares you the most? He says, I personally think SMU, but what's your idea? Now, okay, if you're going to ask me, I don't know if he just assumed leave this one out because it's so obvious, but I mean, Bruce, who does Miami face the first game of the year? The best team on paper on your entire schedule comes to South Florida, Notre Dame, week 1, with what should be an excellent defense. And that's going to be, Carson Beck's first Miami start, and all the new players, it's going to be their first time, playing for the U. So, I mean, that game scares me the most if we can start there.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I agree. I think so, because that's kind of like, I don't know if that's a must win, although I've heard and I've read some things on some of these sites about that if Mario loses that game, there's another strike against him for him not just being that good of a coach. So, yeah, we were prepared for the Gators. I hope we're prepared again. I look at their quarterback, who's a kid, and I expect them to be a little more conservative. I expect Notre Dame to do a lot of short passes, things to take advantage of. I expect Miami to be very aggressive defensively, so they're probably going to want to take advantage of our over pursuit. So I expect screens, swing passes, short passes, quick outs, and let the kid get into the game, the flow of the game. I don't expect that kid to come out bombs away, but I do expect our defense to be very aggressive, and they've got to shake that kid up. And that's what I'm expecting, because I don't ever want to see our defense from last year ever again. So to me, I just think that it's going to be a battle of the coaches, and I just hope that Notre Dame doesn't nickel and dime us to death, and we just over pursue. We look bad again on defense. We've got to keep that quarterback in that pocket and scare the hell out of him. We've got to really be aggressive. And offensively, yeah, I expect us to pound the ball, mix up the throws, but I expect those two running backs to just dominate.
And I obviously I want to win that game. I want to win that game badly because it's Notre Dame, and I hate them. Okay, but it's not a must-win game. Because to me the conference schedule is more important, especially when you consider. I think this year we have to get to the ACC championship game. I mean, that's like the lowest benchmark you can set for this upcoming season. You have to get to the ACC championship game. Otherwise, the season is not a success, and Notre Dame is not in the ACC in football. So it's not a must-win game. But I also, Bruce, I think it's an important game to either win or perform really well, because if things go really poorly, then that can spiral the rest of your season. Right. I mean, because I've heard people say this about Florida State. They open up their season against Alabama. I think they're going to get wrecked. And if they do get wrecked, that's the sort of thing that can carry over throughout the rest of the year. So same thing for Miami. Like, yes, I want to win that Notre Dame game, but it has to be competitive, win or lose. You have to set the tone for the rest of your season. And in the question,
let me throw this out to the fans and to you.
Yeah.
If you had to lose, would you rather lose to Notre Dame or Florida, both of which we all hate? But if you had to lose one,
I'd lose to Notre Dame. because the in-state rivalry to me, if you asked me this question 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I probably would say Notre Dame. But I think the in-state rivalry right now, especially recruiting, you recruit a lot of the same players. I would rather lose the Notre Dame game than the Florida game.
I agree. But so, yes, but we can't get destroyed. We have to play a great game. And if we do lose the game, which I don't think I still think we could beat them. I said it a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how good they really are. They look bad in the championship game, and they lost a bunch of players. And I think Miami got better, not with the receiving core, obviously, but the rest of the team. I expect our special teams to be better. I expect us to be better on defense. So I'm looking at it. This is a home game. It's at night. That stadium's going to be rocking. If we come out and we could, just punch them in the mouth a couple of times, I think we're going to beat them. I just do. I'm not scared of any of these teams. You know what I'm scared of? Some, like you said, SMU on the road. Yeah. Now, they're a top 25 team. They're well coached. They played well last year. They lost a bunch of Miami guys, that's for sure. But, that's a tough game. They're well coached. Yeah. But
they do have some Miami guys. But hold on, I don't want, like, Chris Johnson is on their team, and this is a guy that just he didn't fit Miami's offense, right? He just was not the type of back that fit Miami's offense. He's a better schematic fit at SMU. If Chris Johnson rushes for like 200 yards and 3 touchdowns against us, that would be awful. They've got their backup quarterback, or one of their backup quarterbacks, is Tyler Van Dyke. God forbid he gets into the game and shreds us up, right? So, that adds some extra pressure.
What is he in his 11th year?
The other one for me, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I'm just, how many years has he been in college now? This is his 6th year that I could think of.
Yeah. He's the next Cam McCoy. And you know what? He may not play this year, because I remember, and Rhett Lashley said this when Van Dyke transferred there. He may not play this year because he's still recovering from a serious injury. I think it was an ACL? Like, he's recovering still from an injury. He may not play this year, and then he can preserve to, I think, a 7th year the year after that. So it's a long-term plan for him. But then another game I've got circled is Miami finishes the season at Pitt. It's going to be cold there. Thanksgiving weekend. We've had games there at the end of the season where it snowed there before. And I don't know which Pitt is going to show up, because Pitt last year, they started the season 6-0. They look tremendous. They're swarming defense. They had one of the most successful linebacker cores in college football the first half of the season. They started 6-0, then they finished 6-7 somehow. So I don't know which Pitt is going to show up, but that could be a tough game.
Yeah, it can be because of the weather, and we'll see if they're any good or not. But if Miami needs that game to play in the ACC title game, we're going to smoke those guys. We'll figure a way out. We will.
I mean, we needed to beat Syracuse on the road last year.
Well, we were winning 21-0. How do you explain that?
Stop the count. Just stop the game.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Stop the throw in the white towel.
All right.
I don't know. They're all scary games to me because these stupid referees and these calls that they make, they're all scary to me. Every one of these games we could lose.
Yeah. That's been the Miami way. I mean, thank goodness we don't play Georgia Tech this year, because we always lose to them. They're not on the schedule this season. But coming up next, I have in front of me the full and confirmed list of official recruiting visitors for this weekend at the U. One of these names especially is an important target for the Canes. You want to keep it locked right here. We got the truth teller with us, and we're not done yet here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On Canes your first listen. For your next listen, make sure you check out Locked On ACC. Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack and I, we take you around the entire conference, all the big storylines, big games. We've been talking about the House versus NCAA settlement. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts, and available free on YouTube. All right, Bruce. So this was confirmed to me with the staff. Official visitors for this weekend at Miami. The first 2 are already committed to the U, and I like it when you have the committed guys, because they can help spread the gospel to others. Offensive lineman J.J. Sparks and Reese Woodrow. They've both been on the show, by the way. So friends of the show, Sparks and Woodrow will be here. Running back Tyjavian Lamar out of Colquitt County High School. He goes by Jay Lamar. He played with Nye Carr, who's on Miami right now. And also the linebacker, Kamal Bonner, who transferred in from NC State, played at Colquitt County as well. So he's got some friends on the team. Tight end Izzy Briggs, who's a big-time target for Miami at tight end. Receiver Calvin Russell, we'll circle back to him. Receiver Zion Robinson. Receiver Tyron Evans will be here. Linebacker
Jermichael
Garrett.
Commit. He's a Tennessee commit.
Yeah, that's right. And Jermichael Garrett is an Auburn commit, the linebacker who's coming in.
Right.
Blake Stewart, the safety, will be here. Cortez Redding, another safety, and Kosi Barnes, another safety. Now, obviously there are tons of important targets on that list, Bruce. But the name that really stands out, and he's got his verbal commitment is about 3 weeks away from right now, is Calvin Russell, wide receiver / basketball player out of Miami Northwestern. I would love for Miami to maybe create some separation with him this weekend.
Yeah, now Syracuse got the Notre Dame kid that's supposed to be so special as their quarterback this year. They brought him in.
Yeah.
So that could be a reason why he wants to go there. But, I think there's very little comparison to Carson Beck, but Carson Beck will not be his quarterback, right? If he comes here, he's not going to be playing next year. So he's going to have to go with either one of the two young kids. And there's no track record for them as much as we know about the kid from Georgia who came here. He's really good. And then the other kid that's what's his name? The other quarterback. The one who's not here yet.
Darion Coleman.
Yeah, Darion Coleman. I don't know why because my daughter just texted me, so I lost.
Tell her it's showtime. Leave dad alone.
I tell her that. Or sometimes I'm telling, don't call me. I'm in court. She's texting me. Why haven't you called me back? Because I'm in the courtroom. Anyway, look, I want that kid badly. I mean, badly. Maybe not as much as I was screaming about getting the offensive lineman, Cantwell, but I want this kid. He should be a Miami kid. What is he, Northwestern? Come on.
Yeah, Northwestern.
He needs to be here. He's a big kid. The guy we've been screaming about, the tall kid, not exactly. Josh Moore is like that too, but I think this kid's probably faster. He's probably a better athlete. He does play basketball. So maybe he'll play basketball too, but I want Calvin Russell in the world. And his mother's in the Hall of Fame for basketball, right?
That's right.
He played here. Come on, man. Yeah. I mean, there's another kid that we're recruiting whose father played here who didn't make it to the Miami Hall of Fame, and that's Cannon Pickett. And, there's a buzz about him. I could tell you this, that I'm not worried about it. That's all I'm allowed to say. But we'll find out soon enough.
I'm not worried about it either.
I'm not worried about it. I'm not even worried about it. Can't say anything, but I'm not worried about it, is all I can say. You take it from there. All right. So,
but just on a side note on that, because we feel really good about Cannon Pickett hopefully becoming a Hurricane. I feel pretty good, not like as confident, but somewhat confident about Brett Collegier. And I'm greedy here because Miami already has Jackson Cantwell, Joel Irvin, a bunch of other good offensive linemen. But I think this is going to be the best offensive line class that Mario Cristobal has ever landed. And that's saying something because he's landed some good O-linemen over the years.
Right. If he lands Collegier and if Pickett does come, what do you got, 7 or 8 O-linemen that are really, really – I mean, they keep saying he's a 3-star. He's a 4-star as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Right. And so massive players, big dudes and guys with attitudes. And they don't seem to have to develop good habits. They have good habits already. Some of these kids that are just real big and they just push people around, but they just don't take it to the next level. They don't work as hard. They kind of fall by the wayside. And we see Miami recruits, we're all excited about it. You don't hear from them anymore. They don't do much. Like the kid, like Okunola. We'll see. This is a big year for him. He's got to play. He can't sit on the bench, can't get hurt. He's got to be in the mix. And so, we threw Bell in the mix last year. Look what happened to him. Wow. He improved.
Yeah, and I was looking at something, by the way, with a bunch of the pass catchers coming in. They got 3 receivers and a tight end. And Izzy Briggs is someone who has definitely been a guy Miami's been building momentum with at tight end. So 3 out of the 4 pass catchers on 24/7 are top 100 pass catchers. Gabby Urrutia at CanesInsight.com or Canes InsideTheU.com. I'm getting my websites mixed up. Posted this. So Israel Briggs, Zion Robinson, and Calvin Russell are top 100 pass catchers. We're all going to be visiting this weekend. So that's a big opportunity there. There have been certain weekends where it's been really heavy on O-line, which was the case last week with Cantwell, Cole, Jay Pickett all here. D-line some weeks. Like, this is a really receiver, tight end heavy week coming up. And then, of course, the other tight end that we really want, who I think visited last week, was Hizay Superman Kent, the 280-pound, 6'5". Like, if Miami can land Kent and Briggs in this class, giddy up.
Did you see a video of the former players who came back for Legends last weekend? Did you see all those guys? And every one of them was talking, and they're giving their little. You know what? Every year they do that, and every year I cannot hear. The microphone is just not good. The sound's not good. But I see all these guys are. He's my friend. He's my friend. Oh my God! There's maybe 3 that I don't know that well, but all the rest are my friends, and many of those guys have been on the show. So I like that, and but to have these kids see these guys out there like that. That's got to mean something, because I don't know who else has that. I don't know who else does that. But every one of those dudes, almost every one, was a blue chip stud.
Nobody does it like Miami. Like when it comes to just, because obviously a lot of big time programs, have great alumni lists and stuff, like your Notre Dames, your Bamas, your Penn States, your Michigans, like have a great list of alumni. But I don't think there's a tighter knit group that spans generations like Miami's does. I don't think any other big time successful program has a tight knit alumni base like Miami's.
No, and the beauty of it is when these guys are together, it doesn't matter what year you were. It doesn't matter if your team won a national title. They kid each other about you didn't win the national title, whatever. Because I'm there with these guys a lot. I told you I went down to that Kokomo's or Komo, whatever the hell it's called, the Asian restaurant on Brickell with most of those guys were there. And it's just it's amazing to see. They didn't really show the faces of the kids that much, but they must have been like, it's a who's who. Who's got diamonds? Who's got gold? Edgerrin's got
who's got Super Bowl rings?
Edge has got a gold Rolls Royce, all gold. It's all gold. It's unbelievable what this guy has. And yet he wasn't there. I didn't see Edge there. But he needs to talk to Derek Cooper. That's for darn sure. Yeah. We've said that a few weeks ago. Some of these guys just need to get pushed over the hump.
Yeah. Well, in a lot of cases, like, certain players who have visited the last couple of weeks that Miami's after, a lot of these guys already have like early July commitment dates that are set. Now, Cooper has not set his commitment date yet, but he did send something on social media a couple nights ago that said commitment date coming soon. So I just think he wants to finish his visits. Like, he's got visits through the end of June. So you have to be patient for 5-star guys. Like, you can't always say, hey, we want you to commit tonight. Like, you got to let the process play out with some of these guys. So, we did an episode yesterday on Locked On ACC talking about how Pittsburgh, in a 3-day span, they landed 10 verbal commits between June 6th and June 9th. But I looked through the 3-star, 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 unrated, 3-star, 3-star. Like, okay, sometimes you have to play the waiting game. You're recruiting 5 stars and high-level 4 stars. Like, we can't just dictate when these guys commit. A lot of these guys are going to be committing, good or bad for us, on around July 4th is when a lot of these are going to drop.
Yeah, look, I trust Mario that's going to get most of this stuff done. I think he knows he's on the cusp of something very special. Again, this class should finish at worst in the top 10. And, you got those 2 quarterbacks. We've got to get Nickel and Coleman on this. That's his last name, right? Coleman, Darian.
Yeah.
Those guys have to turn out to be very good. I really don't want to keep going to the portal anymore. So now you got 2 of them. and he's building the depth of the team. I'm hearing something about the running back is going to take a visit to the committed running back. He's going to take a visit.
Javion Mallory.
Yeah, but I still think he's coming here. I think he's going there just to see what they have to say. But I'm not worried about it. But I want Derek Cooper, and I want Calvin Russell, and I want Colajay, and anything after that to me is a bonus.
And if we can get Derek Cooper and Jay Lamar, then if we do lose a running back from the class, I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that would make you feel a little bit better about it.
I really believe that it's between us and Georgia for Derek Cooper. That's another one. We've got to win that one. I bet you they don't come back and say, well, we asked him to give us a Georgia discount. I don't think they're that stupid to do it again. Do you?
Well, I don't think they're actually going to do it, but that's not going to stop them from saying it if he chooses Miami. Like, of course, they're going to say, like, oh, he chased the bag. Oh, I'm going to try to do my SEC FanDuel
I hope they say that with every guy that commits to Miami that didn't commit to them. Keep saying it, because that means we got the guy and you didn't. Not your money. It ain't my money.
If they offer him a $1 less, they'll say, oh, he chased the bag to Miami.
Yep.
That's just how it goes. Well, we appreciate the Truth Teller as always here on a Truth Teller Tuesday. You're fired up today. I love it. I just can't wait
to get close to the Notre Dame game. I met this guy the other day at a restaurant in Coral Springs. Pure Notre Dame. They're going to kill us, and they owe us from a couple of years ago, and blah blah. You know what? I'll see you at the stadium. But it was just fun to talk about it. And here we were. It was only maybe it was May, the end of May. I'm just ready. I want to go. I really am. You must be ready too.
I'm absolutely ready.
Get back from Europe already, will you please?
Yeah, I'm not coming back for like another month. I'm going to be here for a long time, but I'm still going to be doing episodes. And sometimes the European intel is even better than the local intel, if we're being honest here. I don't know, not really. But I did see a guy in France. I was wearing this hat, and he said, "Oh, you Miami." He was really excited for some reason. So the brand has power even overseas.
Have you been to Italy yet?
I am in Italy now. Yeah.
You were or you were not?
I am in Italy right now. The story that I told you happened to me in Paris.
Oh, okay. You don't see Benito Mussolini, do you? Oh, he's dead.
I'm pretty sure. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure he's been dead for like 70 years, but I'll keep an eye out for Mussolini.
They hung him.
They did. I'm trying to behave so that doesn't happen to me. Thanks to the Truth Teller. Thanks to everyone for making Locked On Canes your first listen. Smash that like button, subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes.
We may see you sooner than next Tuesday, though. That's all I can say. Right? I promised I wouldn't say anything, but we might be back before Tuesday.
We might be back. And whenever that is, we'll talk to you on another episode right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.